Chapter 7. Here we will do some cloud integration. So some of the advantages of cloud integration is ability to scale and run in parallel, kind of as we already talked about. If you have the need, you can do web and mobile testing. Also, you do have access without any extra code to video, screenshots, logs. Some tools like Cypress, for example, are very comparable to that locally, but of course they don't provide like cross-device, cross-browser capabilities. Of course, it depends on your needs. And of course, access to extra analytics, which that's ultimately our goal, is to have everything from the entire DevOps toolchain going into a single dashboard to provide you actionable insights on your software and bug fixing. The objectives of this chapter: we're gonna tweak what we did locally and make it run in the cloud. And then we'll integrate it into CI in that manner as well. And we will increase browser coverage and run on multiple desktops and some mobile platforms as well. So for all of that, you guys will need a Sauce Labs username and access key. So you can just go to Sauce Labs and sign up for free. Here's the URL. Just sign up for free.
Also, since I'm working in the open source program office, if you ever have an open source program, open source project that you want, test capabilities for, just let me know. There's an open source page where you can sign up for your project, and then we give away free licenses where you can test your application with.
Your challenge is right here, as you can see. Just give it a shot, follow the instructions, and at the end, what you're going to be able to do is basically run your tests in the cloud. So while you do that, I'll show you guys the potential final solution. So you potentially have a folder that contains all of your WebDriver IO tests, and then of course you might create a separate config. You might have your own config. Of course, it's up to you. I have a separate one here, okay? And let me show you all my package JSON for that one. And of course, I'm just configuring my package JSON to do npx wdio and then just pointing to the config. And so, of course, we can run that command, and that's going to run, you can see it's going to run multiple tests on different browsers. And if we take a look in here, you'll see I have some real devices running with tests, and also some virtual cloud tests, which are just browser tests that just executed. You can see less than a minute ago. So this is what those tests look like. It's the same test that we've written previously. All of these are using WebDriver IO here, just to not confuse anyone. That's what the tests look like. So that's one of the advantages you get with Sauce out of the box, is you get all of this video, screenshots, logs, without having to write any extra code. That the test here is exactly what we've written before. Just a simple test right here. And you can see it executed across multiple different operating systems and browsers. But then, of course, the cool thing is also to run on real devices if you want to test mobile web, for example. And so here, running on like Google Pixel, for example, here's an iPhone 11 Pro, iPhone XS. We can take a look at one of these. It pulls up on an actual real device. We can play our test. And then it just performs those operations there on this is iPhone XS. And that's kind of what the final solution looks like. What you should see. Oh, and I think I showed you all, by the way, if you want to access your username and access key, that's down here in user settings. Once you open it up, you'll see your username and access key in there. I'm just not opening mine, so you guys don't have access to my access key, and then start running tests on my platform.
Best practice here, though, is that you might want to have multiple configurations for multiple environments. So there will be always one WDIO config file where you have your main configuration for all your environments located, like your framework, your, I don't know, some of your main like hooks that you use for all environments. But then you have like a specific source configuration that requires the main configuration file and then modifies the properties in there. So then you can, with the WDIO command, you can specify which environment you want to run in. And that config file has then specified the tests for that specific environment with the capabilities for that specific environment. So let's say for your local test, you have a dedicated config that defines the Chrome driver service and the Chrome capability. And then next to it is your source configuration file that has a source service when you integrate to source, and a lot of more capabilities because you run more devices or more browsers on source. And the same works for testing environments. So let's say not only execution environments, also testing environments. Let's say you have a local development, a local app, or you run on the post-production test suite. So you can, this is a good way to modify your configurations with the specific files.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Christian. We actually have a public repo here with our best practices examples for specifically for functional testing with WebDriver IO plus others. And here's what Christian was talking about, having different configs, one for local. Here's the shared config that is everything common. And then here would be like a Sauce Labs config, right? And then you just point to the appropriate one based on your environment. So for everyone working along, I can show you all that configuration. You all probably had something similar like this before. And then we're just adding some Sauce credentials. You'll need the WDIO Sauce Lab service. And then at that point, we can start configuring our capabilities for different browsers and browser versions. You all maybe just want to start on something small like this, get that going, and then we can scale out to more browsers and operating systems. And that really should be all there is. And if you're curious what the Sauce config looks like, that's just this. You guys don't actually even need it. I was just putting in build name in there for extra verbosity, but you don't even need that, honestly.
And just to mention, the source service that WebDriver provides is not necessary to run on source, but it provides a nice integration because it automatically updates the job name, the test name, and adds some comments to your dashboard there. And it allows you to simply start things like Source Connect, which is our secure proxy if you test your local application on localhost, or if you don't want to publish your application to the public and have it on your own local network. Source Connect proxy is the way to go, and it helps you to set all those things up for you.
Maybe to speed this up and help you all along, let's show you all the solution for the config. That's what ultimately your config will look like.
As you can see at the beginning of the config, we merge our main config, our local config, into that. So this is our base. And then we just modify the capabilities that are specific for that environment. So maybe we want to have a more verbose log level, a user and key defined to connect with the cloud, and then specific services and a larger set of capabilities.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Christian. For anyone a little bit confused about that, just to make sure, because I know we have so many different levels here, probably the simplest thing, you guys will not have a local config. You all are probably just modifying your one wdio.conf that you have. And so then you really only have this one section here, and you're just basically adding this stuff for Sauce Lab. So you're adding this, you're adding the Sauce service, and you're adding just one capability for now. We'll expand to more later. And so that's really it. username and access key don't need to be in environment variables. However, when we move into CI/CD, it could pose some challenges for you guys because I don't know if you all work on teams, or let's say we're going to be committing it to GitHub, right? You don't want your username and access key going out into the GitHub world and being shared with everybody. So that's why people store them in environment variables. So when we do CI/CD integration, it actually just works. And I was going to show you guys how to set up secret environment variables in GitHub workflow. So if you're okay sharing your credentials with the world in GitHub and committing them, that's okay. If not, you should place them in environment variables. So with the cloud integration, I wanted to show you all how to integrate that into the CI pipeline. So it's just another GitHub workflow. It's everything the same exact way as before. Only difference is you're setting your environment username and access key. Of course, if you hard-coded this, you don't need this, but it will be public in GitHub. But if you did not hard-code it and store it in your environment variables, this is the value that we're going to be passing to the keys of the environment variables. And we're accessing it through the secrets object in GitHub workflows. Let me show you guys where that's available. So that's in settings, secrets, and then in here, you would add all of your credentials. So you can see I created a source access key, source username, and then when you just click new repository secret, you just enter, your key, and then provide its value, and then save it. And that's really it. And then you just reference it in your YAML file. And so then when you have that, everything just runs like before. Here's an example of WebDriver IO Cloud CI/CD. Nothing different, but this one, of course, is just running much more tests. You can see it's running all of these. It's the same spec across multiple different browsers and operating systems, and then providing the results here. And of course, all of that shows up here in the Sauce Labs dashboard for you to see. So, okay, so that's cloud integration, super simple in terms of with CI. I also wanted to, if you guys want to do that with Cypress, for example, we have a config for that as well. Same thing, just putting your Sauce username and access key at the top, and then you're just running your saucectl run command with your Cypress code base, which ours is obviously in this directory here. And then you're just doing npm install and run. And then it'll run. And in fact, here, I'll show you guys here. So you can see we have a Cypress Cloud, and that's that. And it looks just the same as pretty much all the other ones. Here's installation of the dependencies and execution. And you can see it pulls down the Docker image and then just runs the tests, provides you some reporting. And this also goes into Sauce Labs as well. So if you want to see the jobs details, here's that job. And you can see it executes really fast.